friends, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. So this week we're going to talk about the appropriate formats, template perhaps, for your resume. So this is a very common question I get here on the channel. I get a lot of DMs, I get a lot of messages, I get a lot of people are really spun up about this. And I don't know if you're gonna like my answer. Okay, I've been approached by resume writing companies that want me to write paid posts for their templates and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I don't really buy into templates, to be honest. That I think is where I struggle with. So if y'all catch me writing a sponsored post, just know I'm probably poor or I really believe in this product. So one of the two, because I ain't doing it if I don't think it's good for my audience. So, and I'm still pondering a couple, just so we're clear. But I want to dig into this idea around your resume and how do you make it stand out? I don't think you're going to like my answer. Full transparency. I'm coming into this video knowing damn good and well I'm probably going to hurt some feelings today. But I also want to be honest and hopefully share an example of sorts with why I think the way I do. Okay, so when we're talking about your resume and how do you stand out, it is all about the content. That's it. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for content. I don't like graphics. I don't think logos are necessary. A lot of people are slamming stuff on there like they're sponsored by NASCAR or something. It's weird to me that people spend so much time on that and not on the actual content, because that's where the magic happens. Let me put it this way. Your resume, you don't need the bling bling. This right here, this is bling bling. This is what my nail lady called it. It's this little 4th of July manicure. And when I went to get my nails done last week before the holiday, I was like, well, I'm just going to do blue, something a little colorful for the 4th. She's like, oh, you need bling bling. I'm like, I do? And here we go. I do not argue with my nail lady. What she says goes. What color she picks, that's what we go with, just in case you're curious. But let's talk about how this translates to your resume, right? So we're not worried about the bling bling. We are worried about the content. We are worried about creating something that someone wants to read, much like this book. I rated my bookshelf to bring some props to this video to try to illustrate my point. So this book happens to be a book I read, I don't know, back in the 90s, I guess. I feel like it came out in 96 or something. I love this book. It's really cute, fun, little romantic comedy. There's just a little bit of supernatural flavor to it. Super fun book. But here's what I want you to notice. Look at the inside. How boring. Black text, white paper. We have some, white space, some page breaks, some chapter headings. Well, that was convenient. Turned right into a new chapter. Separating the sections and what have you. And that's great, right? We love that. Regular book. The content, amazing. Oh, but what if I'm not into fiction? What if I don't like happy endings? What if I hate romance? May I interest you in some nonfiction? So here's another book that's just collecting dust over on my bookshelf. So this is one that I read, I don't know, probably again back in the 90s. I've had it forever and a day. But I want you to notice something on the inside. Once again, we see a lot of white text, white space, black text. We read from left to right, top to bottom. The content of these two books could not be more different. But the structure of the format is very similar because it's not about graphics. It's not about images on the inside. It's not about any of that. It's about the content and what I was looking for when I picked up these books, which we're going to get into. Oh, but we're not done. We have more. This big bitch right here. This is a phenomenal book, by the way. I'm a massive Stephen King fan. I sent my daughter to buy this for me immediately as soon as it came out. Great, great, great book. But look at the inside. Once again, lots and lots of text. There are pages upon pages upon pages in this book, right? Like I said, the academic CV version. But do you notice? Again, black text, white paper. Yeah, we've got chapters and we've got headings and things like that. But we're all about the content. I did not buy this book because I opened it up and went, ooh, look at that font. No. I opened it up and read it because the summary was interesting to me. We're going to get into that as well. Now, of course, there's exceptions to every rule. So I might say, hey, don't put graphics on your resume. But if you're in the market for a children's book, pictures are very appropriate. So once again, even with this, okay, there's just a lot of pictures. But even with something like this, I'm still seeing that black font, white page, white space, chapter headings, all of that. So there's a structure, there's a flow, there's a format that tends to work for the written word. And your resume is no different. So now you might be saying, well, Ames, that's fine for you, but you don't get it. Like, I'm trying to stand out. I'm trying to do things. And I understand that. I really do. I really do. I promise you. You want to write for the audience. So that's the great thing. I've talked about summaries before. I know not everyone loves a summary. I happen to like a summary on a resume. I like a quick little, like, why is this person sending me a resume? Oh, because they're okay. Great. Good thing. I'll link to that video up above if you want to see it. I like a good summary. But books also include a good summary, right? And so the back of the book tells me a little bit about what this story is. There's enough here for me to go, hey, I want to read this. Same thing with this one. Same thing with this one. Like, all of these books have that in common. So I can find this book if I were to look up, you know, I'm searching for a romantic comedy with a happy ending set in, I don't know, I think this was set in somewhere in Texas. You know, I can do that criteria. And that's what's going to say, hey, this is maybe a book that you might like. And then I get the book and I read it and hopefully I like it, right? Same with your resume. I read your resume. I think this is a good one. I invite you to interview. So when it comes to your resume format, when it comes to the structure and the flow, think about what makes an enjoyable read. Because that's what we want to get. We want the person who is receiving our resume to want to read it. And so we want them to see enough in the first scan or the first review of the, you know, summary, or if you're not doing a summary, we're doing a quick scan to see if we've got the right fit. We want them to see enough to want to do a reread and a deeper read and learn more. And that hopefully then translates into purchasing the book, or in recruiting terms, inviting you to an interview, which hopefully will turn into an offer. Okay? So I hope this helps give you a different way to think about writing your resume. I always, of course, recommend starting with a big old rough draft of just every single thing you've ever done, dumping it on a Word doc or a Google page or whatever, and just, you know, data dumping everything. Then I'm going to go back and edit it and format it. I've got videos on that as well, so check out the resume playlist. I talk a lot about all of those topics. But the bottom line, and I'm surprised I'm like 9 minutes into this video and still saying the same thing. The reality is, your resume is a written document that should engage a reader. Font size, as long as it's a reasonable size, doesn't matter. Content. What does my book say? Is what's important. And does your book tell the story of your career in an engaging way that allows the recruiter and the hiring manager and future interviewers to see what a compelling story you really have? All right, y'all. I hope that helps. Let me know if this has put you at ease. Let me know if this has created more questions we can try to answer. But ever since I've started kind of thinking of it in these terms, it has helped me tremendously, and it's relieved so much pressure off of my own resume when I started thinking about it like this years and years ago. So I hope it helps you too. All right, we'll see you next week.